activities at the Lahore University of Management Sciences, and curated the course and program entitled Civic Engagement and Social Impact. She has collaborated in this field with institutions such as institutions in Turkey, including the Social Impact Lab at KOC, and in Pakistan with Karakoram International University, Vivid Baltistan. The goal of this initiative is to provide a fusion of Eastern and Western perspectives to enhance students' critical thinking and cultural competencies as a hidden agenda for global citizenship. Ms. Hiba's research background introduces the concept of AQS, meaning reflection in Urdu, an abbreviation for action, knowledge, and sustainability as a pedagogy of reflective learning for civic engagement.
And our next guest is Mr. Nabeel Qadeer. Nabeel Iqbal Qadeer is the founder and CEO of the Hube Company, a coaching tube of IT Labs, which works to create smart and human-centered business intelligent technology solutions. We have all heard about Idea Karodon Ka, a reality television show where entrepreneurs pitch their ideas to the investors to raise venture capital for their startups. Well, Nabeel was the man behind this show. He has recently written and published a book called You, which he has unlocked the ethos of being an effective leader.
So our first question is from Ma'am Hiba Zakai. Ma'am Hiba, most of our audience is unaware of the term civic engagement and its importance in our society. Can you give us a brief insight into this term?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here, and I'm really honored to be able to talk about a project or a term that means heart and soul for myself. So civic engagement, it may be like might be the academic term, but honestly, it's just like being a human. So being human, embodying the values of compassion, empathy, and putting those values into action. So anything that makes a society, makes oneself reflective, and then better, and drives an individual to do something about it would come under civic engagement. So it could be from volunteering in your community. It could be from teaching teaching tuitions or teaching at a school. It could be anything that contributes to the greater good of the community. In short. So Mubin, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it surely does. It surely does.
Okay, so my next question is from Mr. Nabeel Qadeer. So, Mr. Nabeel, entrepreneurship is a term that most of the audience is familiar with. However, it is not known to most of us about the link between the entrepreneurship and civic engagement. Can you please explain the link?
Oh, okay, so I think it's good to see you, Ms. Hiba. You have immense, a very in-depth view of civic engagement, so I won't really go into explaining that. I think कोई भी चीज़ जो जिम्मेदारी से की जाए और जिंदगी की जिम्मेदारी ले लेना को civic sense कहते हैं, और अगर उस sense को engage with people around you, which we call our society, I think we're performing what is called civic engagement, and उसके ऊपर बहुत बात हो सकती है. But because my area of expertise has been entrepreneurship, and if you were to talk about civic engagement and entrepreneurship, I'd say that the conversation of civic engagement has to initially begin at the school level, because तब बच्चों के दिमाग बहुत अभी absorb कर सकते हैं चीजों को. If it is being introduced at a time you are teaching someone entrepreneurship, then you are already too late. People have formed a lot of the habits by that time. They're in the university or at that level of seniority. Shaping their thoughts, I think early on is important, and I think that is the only right way. A child spends most amount of time at school, and that is where such activities should take over. They should be taking precedence over other activities. Since that is a longer conversation, and the one about transforming the educational culture of the country and all that, let's not go there. We need civic engagement at almost every level immediately. I think this includes offices as well. Once civic engagement is part of our lifestyle, it is once it's there, it will automatically be part of all of our ideas. And entrepreneurship is about ideas. Entrepreneurship is about finding a problem that you can solve. It is about fixing something that's not right. And I think if civic engagement has made its place in your DNA, anything that you would try and solve would create a great chemistry and a great mix between civic engagement and entrepreneurship. I think that's what I can say for now in response to your question.
Okay, so you said that entrepreneurship is a mindset. So what does that mean practically? Like, can I have an entrepreneurial mindset and not be a startup founder?
Of course. I think entrepreneurship though it's become something very fancy. उसको बहुत हमने हवा दे दी है. कहते हैं ना, we made a bubble out of it in the past 8-10 years because Silicon Valley had to be marketed in a certain manner that they wanted to attract great people from all over the world. They wanted to attract good people. So they used every possible marketing technique to get this message out. And hence it reached to developing nations like ours. And we thought, wow, entrepreneurship is something really new and fancy, and it involves beanbags, it involves ideas, it involves becoming Elon Musk. How many Elon Musks are there in this world anyway? You know, you can count that on your fingertips. So clearly it can't be about successful companies only. Entrepreneurship is a mindset. It's a way of thinking. I say it's a phenomenon. It forms its foundation on the basis of you taking responsibility first of yourself and then of others. That's entrepreneurship. That's entrepreneurial mindset. You know, it means that if I were to explain this to you, it means that you have a problem-solving mindset and you treat your failures the same way you treat your successes. That's an entrepreneurial mindset. You can surely have an entrepreneurial mindset and not have a startup. Innovation is an approach. It's a way of thinking. It's a way to do things. Such a person who has that mindset will add value wherever he or she goes. Practically, it means you will bounce back from failure faster and not stagnate in your successes for long. You know, this mindset means to be on the go at all times, mentally. So if you have that, I think you have an entrepreneurial mindset. And someone with an entrepreneurial mindset has a higher chance of making a startup work. That is a link you can create. Apart from that, no, there's no requirement or a prerequisite. एक startup होगा तो entrepreneurial mindset है. ऐसी कोई बात.
Like, so basically we have to think out of the box to see what possible हो सकता है.
Possible.
I think also I wanted to add what Nabeel was saying, and so having an idea and a product is fine, and that, you know, that's what entrepreneurship is about. But at the same time, what he also is saying, the key word with is the engagement part. How do you engage those you want the impact to feel, as well as the idea itself, and, you know, those who are producing the idea. It's a two-way streak, so engaging two ways, and the key term would be engagement in there.
Just adding on to that, ma'am, a similar question to you is, you know, what is the background and theory behind civic management education in Pakistan and your interest? You know, can you talk a bit about that?
So very good question. And because it's actually a very new concept. One could even say that we in the East are really borrowing the idea from the West. But if you think about it, the reason why it's the concept of volunteerism or giving back to your community or community service or being engaged civically and knowing these your right as a citizen as well as a citizen of Pakistan, but also a citizen of a global citizen, is quite new. Because if you look at the historical background of Pakistan, until recently we and sometimes even currently we're labeled as the third world country, or the terrorist country, and that erasing all those things has taken years and coming back. So first it was always about receiving. Now it's like, okay, we are at a point that we can actually give, and stop being feeling sorry for ourselves. So receiving, it was all about aid. So TCF has a teachers citizen foundation has a very good concept of khud mukhtar hona, and this is something they in their educational programs now in the school level are teaching are putting it part of the curriculum in schools. And this is a very applaudable initiative. And now the government has made this initiative to put civic engagement education into schools in the curriculum level, because we as a society have come to that point now that we are ready to give back, and we are ready to engage, and our understanding that you don't need to have like be a first world country or a resourceful country to be able to do that. Now the idea, the concept is being realized that wherever you are, either in DHA or in Liari, you still can give back into the community and contribute, because the talent is within. And some of like these individuals and revolutionary, those who have been a part of revolution in historically, for example, come from countries that were going through a revolutionary stage. For example, Brazil, the book Pedagogy of the Oppressed came out from there, where it talks about why a society even keeps their middle class, lower class oppressed, and it's a cycle. And the reason behind it, emotionals, and the status quo behind it. So if you look at it, it never was that we don't, since we don't have the resources, hence we are the receiver and on the receiver end. And this is something that's being realized. There's a whole misconception that civic engagement, community service is for the rich so they can feel better. For those because they have this, it's not that. And in fact, if you look, and this is something I teach in my course, the theory behind it too. So the theory of where it is, there are like 5 reasons why an individual would like to do community service, and one of them is just to feel good. Another one is because it's required by God, or the whatever belief that you have. And this article or this author, he busts these 5 myths as well. And but in the end, there is some truth. There's always, myths always come because there's some truth behind it, and the truth behind it could be it could be the reason. But when the sustainability matter, when it comes, and does not remain because of the myths. It remains in the end knowing and reflecting oneself and the ability to give back accordingly.
Yes, ma'am, I get it. It kind of is a social responsibility, if that is a correct term. Being a citizen of Pakistan, you have to give back. That certainly is that Pakistan, I guess, will progress and our education will inculcate.
Responsibility implies that one must give. So if I have received these privileges, it is my duty to give. So the social responsibility term implies that. However, I on the side saying that it's not just responsibility, it's part of our DNA. And we've just there's ways, and that's how a society comes about, or such. So there is this anthropologist who did a research that the most important part of individuals' body in the times of in the earlier times, in the caveman age, are legs, because legs are the ones that one runs away. Find legs are, if you can walk, you can find your food and shelter and hunt, and you can survive for yourself. And the one of the main impact or sign of a society is when when they found bones that showed the legs had healed. If there was an injury had healed. The reason why that meant that somebody stayed with that individual to make sure he or she was healed. So that is the first sign of a society: compassion, and to be able to heal one another. And if that is not part of the equation, then we cannot go to the other parts of a society equation.
Yes, ma'am. This example.
And that, so that would not be responsibility just because I'm able to do so. It is a part of the human DNA and should be. Somewhere along the line, maybe through all these technology and the rat race to make more money or such, that compassion or that empathy component has been lost. And hopefully bringing that back through social corporate responsibility programs, and is really one needs to realize these aspects themselves and go back in history and bring back the human DNA.
Yes, ma'am. This example.
Sorry,
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. No. This example really helps, clarify the concept that I was getting, and I guess surely to people out there, it cares as well how we can be, a part of this society, good part.
Yes, exactly. Because we are already interconnected with each other, like in a society, we are together. So we have to play our part on our own. कि हम सब करेंगे तो उसके बाद उसका better result होगा. That's what ma'am said. So my next question is from Mr. Nabeel. Sir, technology entrepreneurship has evolved a lot in the past few years, but in Pakistan, the universities yield a lot of students in the field of IT and computer science. Then why the technology entrepreneurship has taken a lot of time to develop its root in Pakistan, considering के West के अंदर ये चीज़ बहुत ज़्यादा evolve हो चुकी है, लेकिन पाकिस्तान के अंदर like देखा जाए तो IT exports अभी कुछ ही सालों में ज़्यादा होना start हुए. तो इसकी क्या reason? Sir, you are muted. I'm sorry, you are muted.
Okay. Well, thank you for empowering me to unmute myself. I could not do it because I'm not the admin. So,
No worries.
मैं इसमें जवाब आपको ये दे रहा था कि you asked me about technology entrepreneurship. Technology entrepreneurship को समझने से पहले आपको technology industry की थोड़ी सी background समझनी पड़ेगी. Why have we've not really missed the bandwagon, but I think we've been delayed. हम late हो गए. उसकी वजह क्या है? देखो, I went to a technology university many years ago. Most probably, some of you weren't even born then, and some were definitely in their Pampers or their diapers or whatever you want to call that. So, and that's when I went to a technology university, and that was the only real computer science university in the city back then. I mean, मैं जब लाहौर वाली में गया था अपनी fast में. अब उस वक्त there was this .com bubble, .com boom आ रहा था. हमारे लिए ये बहुत बड़ी बात थी कि हम .com era में आ रहे हैं. अमेरिका हमसे 10 साल पहले उस era को एक्सपीरियंस कर चुका था. वहाँ पे ERPs बन चुके थे. वहाँ पे इंटरनेट के ऊपर काम हो रहा था. वहाँ पे वेब was a normal thing. हमारे पास जो इंटरनेट था, जब हवा चलती थी तो इंटरनेट बंद हो जाता था. डायल अप कनेक्शंस हमारे, हम उस जमाने की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ आपसे. हमारे पास एक्सेस ही नहीं थी दुनिया की इंफॉर्मेशन की, जो कि लोगों के पास पहले थी. अगर मैं इसको गवर्नमेंट स्केल पे बात करूं, हमने डिसाइड ये किया था हमसे मतलब पाकिस्तान ने कि वी वुड एंड अप बीइंग अ सर्विस इकोनॉमी. हम टेक्नोलॉजी सर्विसेज में जाएंगे, आउटसोर्सिंग मॉडल में जाएंगे, हम भी क्या कहते हैं, वो जेम्स नहीं है, उसका असल नाम जो है वो राजू है, राइट। हमने कहा हम भी वही करेंगे। हम उस ट्रैक पे गए, हमसे वो हैंडल नहीं हुआ उस स्केल पे जो इंडिया ने हैंडल किया। they did a massive job। उसकी वजह थी क्योंकि उनका NRI मॉडल 20-30 साल पहले से इंडियंस को ग्रूम कर चुका हुआ था। Now those Indians were coming back and setting up companies in India. Pakistan was undergoing some other changes because 9/11 हो गया। 9/11 हो गया तो हमारे रीजन के अंदर थोड़ी सी डिस्टर्बेंस शुरू हो गई। अभी हिबा ने जिक्र किया था टेररिज्म का, वहां से वो सारा मामला बदल गया। तो हमें जिस तरह की बूस्ट मिलनी चाहिए थी हमें नहीं मिली। हमारी रिसोर्सेज लग गई डिफेंस पे और जंगों के ऊपर, अपनी सिक्योरिटी पे। हमारी प्रायोरिटीज चेंज हो गई। तो वी इन द इयर्स 2000 से 2010 वी वर रियली समवेयर इन द मिडल ऑफ एवरीथिंग। जो आप टेक्नोलॉजी एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की बात कर रहे हो, टेक्नोलॉजी एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप is primarily based on product-based software that ultimately makes it to the market. Product और service का फर्क समझो। Entrepreneurial initiatives, जब आप एक स्टार्टअप को देखते हो किसी इंक्यूबेटर में, do you see a services-based startup or you usually see a product-based startup? कोई आइडिया होता है तो वो product-based होता है। It's very manageable for the norms of entrepreneurship to handle a product-based company. That is why incubators and product-based companies आती हैं। हम बहुत लेट शुरू हुए। हम शुरू हुए 2010, 11, 12 में प्रॉपर तरीके से कि हमने कहा हम प्रोडक्ट्स बनाएंगे। नाउ अब तब दुनिया और आगे जा चुकी थी। So if I go into that debate, it will become a very technology discussion, जिसका ये platform नहीं है। But yes, we've missed the bandwagon in many ways. But software exports आज भी हमारी fortunately or unfortunately services से आती हैं। So we're still somewhere in between. हमारी सबसे बड़ी कंपनीज जो है वो सर्विसेज दे रही हैं। आपका जो फ्रीलांसर है वो क्या है? आप भी फ्रीलांसिंग करते होगे बहुत सारे, आई एम श्योर। आप सर्विसेज देते हो, वो सर्विसेज जो है वो सॉफ्टवेयर एक्सपोर्ट में ऐड होती है। तो you can never take away the services sector when you talk about software export. Yet, technology entrepreneurship, if it is to groom and bloom, जो कि अब हो रहा है, you see good companies coming in. What is Bikeia? What is Airlift? What is Kareem? Do they own a single car? Do they own a single bike? They own nothing. They own just that IP of the app and that database of customers. That's it. That's their product. That's their game. उसकी बेस पे वो सर्विसेज दे रहे हैं। ऐसी कंपनीज में इन्वेस्टमेंट्स होती हैं बड़ी। तो अभी भी हम ग्रूम कर रहे हैं, we're a few years behind। पर इस पे कभी मुझे और बुला लेना तो मैं आपको तफसील से 1 घंटा सुनाऊंगा कि रोदात है क्या एंड इसका हल क्या है, where we headed। But that's a different topic altogether.
ओके। तो अच्छा, एक क्वेश्चन यहाँ पे सर ये बनता है कि कितना टाइम लगेगा पाकिस्तान को उस स्टेज पे जाने के लिए जहाँ पर वेस्ट है और ये जो इंडस्ट्री है ये पाकिस्तान की जीडीपी इंक्रीज और पाकिस्तान की डेवलप में अपना वाइटल रोल प्ले करेगी? कितने इयर्स आगे जा?
देखिए, जब पाकिस्तान की आप सरकार में बैठते हैं ना, मुझे इत्तेफाक हुआ है पिछले कुछ सालों में, अब तो खास तौर पे बहुत ज्यादा हो रहा है because of my recent exposure with the current government. Technology is not an agenda item. You have to understand this. Agenda item है health. Agenda item है education. Agenda item है आपकी safety और security. Agenda item है poverty elevation. एहसास प्रोग्राम, लोगों को एलिवेट करो। एजेंडा आइटम है लोगों को जॉब्स दिलवाओ। हाँ, उन जॉब्स में एक बहुत अच्छा पॉजिटिव एरिया है आईटी, इस पे काम होना चाहिए। तो ये एक सब सेक्शन है अभी भी हमारी गवर्नमेंट के लिए, क्योंकि अभी भी उस तरह के रॉक स्टार्स हमने क्रिएट नहीं किए हैं जो कि गवर्नमेंट को इतना इंस्पायर कर दें कि वो कहें नहीं भाई, एस्टोनिया की तरह प्राइम मिनिस्टर भी जो है वो बैठा कह रहा है मुझे प्रोडक्ट्स दिखाओ सारे आईटी के। एस्टोनिया का तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर भी बैठ के आईटी कंपनीज के पास जाके बैठ के प्रोडक्ट्स देखता है। इजराइल डज अ लॉट ऑफ दैट आल्सो। हम अभी उस हिसाब से ग्रूम नहीं हुए हैं और हमारी प्रायोरिटीज मुख्तलिफ हैं। So I can't give you a timeline, but let me tell you, things are improving. The folks in the IT sector are working very hard to get at least noticed. And I think it will take about 5 to 7 more years.
Okay. Over to you, Mo.
Yeah, I hope we get there soon. Ma'am Hiba, as we were discussing earlier, leadership is an important skill in all realms of life. And, you know, my question to you is, how does leadership relate to the civic management responsibilities? And since you have been serving as the head of CCA and campus climate as well, do you think these make you a leader of civic management? And if one is to apply the theory and practice in their own community, what are some tools or resources would you suggest? Would you suggest any books or leadership models for this task?
So either way, like wherever you practice your civic engagement or such, leaders are everywhere, and any individual can be a leader. You can be a leader at your workplace, a leader like our personality traits of a leader that does make an individual successful will be the basic as being humble. And one of a person in history that I always admire and think about is Fatma Jinnah. Maybe whenever we talk about the founders of Pakistan, we actually forget the sister who was behind and who was there. So being a leader also means to be a supporter and a follower, and when to step up, knowing when to step up and when to step down, and or to be a supporter. So these are some good characteristics of humbleness and observing and strategically planning and knowing the right time when and where and such. So it's quite and there's no one particular leadership style. There are multiple leadership styles, and one can model all these styles within their own with their own personality. So something that you brought up my position at LUMS, that as a leader, that one of the things that I do practice is empowering those who are working with me. So one advice that I was given by a mentor was to keep your team close to you always, and that I didn't really understand at that time, but now I do understand. So your teammates and knowing who's surrounding you are the most important, and we see that around with leaders around the world, with our own with our government and such. It's the leader is usually maybe the face of the organization or the country or the nation or such, but it's really the teamwork that's been doing. So knowing that your team has the best interest in mind for yourself and for the organization or for your group is the most important thing. So keeping the team close is very important. Knowing the strengths and weaknesses, balancing that out. There's some weaknesses or that the greatest leader will every person has, and then knowing and having a team members that can complement those strengths is quite important. And you asked me the question of what type of models and such. So there is a leadership model called fish. It's actually a philosophy. It's called the fish philosophy, and it was derived from Pike Place Fish Market in Seattle, Washington. And the point is that anybody you interact with, whoever comes into the office or you interact with, is a value. They have to, and you treat them with special thing. And the whole model of civic engagement is behind it. That so when I take my students on different sites, I don't tell them that you're going to be I actually tell them, you're not going to, don't think of that you're going to be a Superman and you're here to change the society, but rather change your lenses, and you're here to hear what they have to say. So the answer to, and Nabeel also brought this up, is like, on what is entrepreneurship, is solving problems. The answer to solving your problems is already there. It's in the society, it's in the community that you want to address. The tool to do that is listening, is humbling yourself, is becoming one. Malcolm X used to say, if you want to be a leader, you have to speak the language of the community. He didn't mean like like literally speaking the language. He meant the emotional aspect, knowing when to be flexible, when to you bring your human aspect, when to do when to do what, knowing the situation. That's what his point was, to be able to speak the language. So these are some things that one cannot really learn overnight, but you just acquire from experience, and then we're reaching down to what is again the human DNA, knowing the situations, and listening, humbling yourself. And the model that I personally practice is when I learned in my graduate days from the dean of the university I graduated from, University of Wisconsin, is the 3 H's: head, heart, and hand. Use your head knowing when to speak, doing the research of the community, doing the research around yourself. If you're going to lead an office, knowing the structure, who is connected to. Heart, always. Heart is actually, I'll come to that one last because that's the most important one. Hand is the hard work. Head, using your head, thinking. Hand, hard work, applying it. It's not easy to lead in a community or any sort of leadership. And then finally, heart. Intentions are the most important. We're knowing your purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing? And that's the first question you ask when students or individuals or a community goes and interacts with the community in order to implement a change. Why are you here? Are you here because it will look good on your transcript? You just need the certificate for volunteerism, or you're there to impress a female or a male or one of your friends, or you're there, so intentions do matter. So knowing those intentions, or maybe you're there because your parents have made it mandatory for you to do so, to go and help the community or do something, or you're simply there because you believe in the cause, and what you will do, how will it impact? So one of the things I always say, ask the 5 whys. Get to the core of why you're there to do what you're doing. Why do you want to do what you're doing? Ask the 5 whys. Get down to the core of your intentions. With your hands, do the hard work, the research. Get ready to roll up your sleeves and do the intention, and then finally use your head as well. So it always come down to the heart.
Yes, I'm surely. Personally, I do keep this mindset that there is always something to learn every day. You sit around with people, and there's always something to learn. I guess keeping this mindset really helps you be productive, and give back to the community, and obviously be positive and optimistic. So I guess keeping this mindset that there's always something to learn from somebody every day really helps you in the long run.
And then, actually, I was sorry, Mubin, I know you want to move on, Mubin and Zain, but to add on, besides the theory aspect, if you look at it now, even COVID has taught us how much it's so important to be globally informed and globally engaged. So COVID has taught how health issues, pollution, population, cleaning, the 17 SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, affect not just one region or one country of this world. It is affecting everyone individually at a global level. So becoming aware of that, it's impacting you not at just a national level, but even at an international level. I think might take some time for each person to dawn on that. What you do right now is going to be affecting internationally, globally, and generations. If I throw garbage right now, it's just a small act. It will have impact years for coming. Just one small little action. And we don't, as humans, are always we have a rat race that we don't even think about these little things. And if you just reflect and think about that, and then implementing it and putting that into not only theory and into practice. So the example I gave you is a smaller scale, but in another form, like Nabeel was talking about technology. So what is what the impact that technology COVID has shown that has a global impact. And so mindfully, intentionally, how are we using technology to create a ripple effect and to create a global impact. And I guess that could be another topic for another day too.
We certainly, as a community, should look upon this and cater to this issue.
Okay, so ma'am, a little question. Like, आपने भी बात की कि सारों को मिलके काम करना चाहिए. So like, how can one create a stronger bond between with his peers for bringing a change? एक change लाने के लिए किस तरह का bond होना चाहिए, लोगों को किस तरह साथ मिलके काम करना चाहिए ताकि एक अच्छा change आ सके?
Then इसका तो answer एक like one word answered. Shared vision. Shared vision, that's the main bond. और जब तक सबका shared vision नहीं होगा, then like, and then realizing that I as Zain, I as Mubin, I as Nabeel or Hiba has an impact in my community, if what my actions do, and then my community, we have an impact in the greater national community of Pakistan, then Pakistan plays a huge role in the world community. It's very important. So that greater impact, there will be individuals who will work. So I'll give you an example. For, let's say, Taj Mahal, there are two individuals making Taj Mahal. So one who knows that, one who's been told that just build this building, get the rocks together, get the cement together, and that he or she may not have know the vision. Whereas if you tell the other person, देखो ये ताज महल मिलेगा, इसमें इतने सारे tourists आएंगे, there's a love story behind this. So when the person knows the greater vision, the shared vision, and he's like, oh my goodness, I will play such a huge role in this, then he or she will have more motivation to build Taj. So that's with the shared. And sometimes in our organizations, in our we forget to communicate. So to answer your question, the ability to communicate the shared vision, the bigger picture, is the main way to bond and to bring the team together. Because if everybody has an ownership and we know that where we're heading to, and we're creating a huge impact, and that will be impact to our children down the line, to our to the world down the line, then you're more likely to jump on the bandwagon. However, if it's just like, okay, aapka bas ye kaam hai, and not knowing anything else, just give me this one-page report, not knowing ye report kahan ja rahi hai, kis wajah se ja rahi hai, what's the objective, what's the reason behind it, then the person will be like, okay, I'll do it for the, the salary check, but that's it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I think my one-word answer became a long sentence, worded sentence.
It was a really good answer. अच्छा, so Sir Nabeel said about like government की बात की थी और ma'am ने pandemic की बात की. So my next question is from both of you. Like with the recent pandemic, many countries failed to cope with the mass devastation जो कोरोना की वजह से create हुई है. लेकिन पाकिस्तान के अंदर ग्लोबली जब से वैक्सीन आना स्टार्ट हुई है, उससे काफी अच्छा होना स्टार्ट हो गया सारा कुछ. लेकिन पाकिस्तान के अंदर एक जो न्यू चैलेंज आ रहा है वो ये आ रहा है कि लोगों को हम कन्विंस नहीं कर पा रहे वैक्सीन के लिए. तो लाइक how can this public issue be resolved with civic engagement and also the entrepreneurship? क्योंकि अब जो पाकिस्तान के अंदर लोकल कंपनीज हैं वो अपनी लोकली कल्चर्ड वैक्सीन डेवलप कर रही हैं, तो उस पे लोगों को बिलीव कम है rather than जो इंपोर्ट की जाती है. तो इन दोनों चीजों का लिंक किस तरह हमारे पाकिस्तान के अंदर कोविड की सिचुएशन को ठीक कर सकता है? ओवर टू यू सर नबील.
Okay, so can you hear me? Okay.
Yes sir.
हाँ, so आपने इसकी बात की, मैं थोड़ा सा अपना comment दे देता हूँ on what Hiba just said about the previous answer, because that was a very important question. I think to be able to we should not be underestimating our own powers. There's this very important understanding of your own self. इंसान को अगर अपने वक्त की इज्जत करनी आ जाए, इंसान को अगर अपने वैल्यू सिस्टम जो उसे अपने घर से मिलता है या अपनी उम्र में ओवर द इयर्स वो उसको डेवलप करता है, अगर उसके ऊपर यकीन आ जाए और इंसान अगर अपनी परसेप्शंस जो उसको दुनिया ने दी हैं, मीडिया ने दी हैं, उनको वो ब्लाइंडली फॉलो ना करे, दिमाग का इस्तेमाल करे, this organ called the brain, has immense power, तो इंसान के अंदर क्या होता है? इंसान के अंदर ये होता है कि उसकी सेल्फ एस्टीम बहुत बढ़ जाती है, उसकी अपने आप से मोहब्बत बहुत बढ़ जाती है, उसकी अपने आप पर, देखो यकीन के दो हिस्से हैं. Belief is in two parts. The first part is belief in yourself, and the next part is belief in the entity who created you. और कोई belief नहीं है, किसी और पे belief, ये सब बातें हैं. हर इंसान अपने मतलब, अपने मकसद के साथ दुनिया में आता है और उसको पूरा करता है. आपका अकाउंट आपका अपना है, आपका जिंदगी की चार्ज शीट भी आपकी अपनी है, और आप 6 फुट नीचे भी आपने अकेले जाना होता है. तो ये बात तो एस्टैब्लिश कर लीजिए कि आपकी इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है. आप बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, आपका रिजल्ट कार्ड बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, आपकी सेल्फ एस्टीम बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है उन पावर्स के लिए जिन्होंने आपकी डेस्टिनी बनानी है. और वहां पर भी एक क्लैरिफाई कर दिया गया है कि देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड खुदी, जिसमें आप अपनी डेस्टिनी खुद भी बना सकते हैं. आपको ये एक्स्ट्रा पर्क भी दे दिया गया कि हाँ, चीजें लिखी तो गई हैं मेरे और आपके फ्यूचर के लिए कि when am I going to go, when am I going to be successful. You can change that. You can change that with your intent, and you can change that with your effort. इन दो चीजों को आप समझ लें, आपकी जिंदगी का तर्ज बदल जाता है. अगर आपकी सेल्फ एस्टीम बढ़ती जाए, आपके अंदर एम्पैथी बढ़ती जाएगी. इन इफेक्ट जब आपके अंदर एम्पैथी बढ़ेगी तो आपके अंदर लोगों का, अपने इर्द गिर्द की सोसाइटी का ख्याल बढ़ेगा. लोगों का ख्याल करने का मतलब ये कतई नहीं है कि आप अपना वक्त जाया करें and become a listener. I think people who are listeners are the biggest baggage on earth. Why are you listening to nonsense? But there's something called the right listening, जिसका जिक्र गालिबन अभी हिबा ने भी किया था. The right listening, the right communication. वो right listening और right communication shared vision बनाता है, जिसका इन्होंने जिक्र किया. मैंने इनकी बात को थोड़ा तोड़ दिया आपके लिए. और अगर आपने सब चीज को, इस साइकिल को चलाना है पुख्ता तरीके से कि आपकी जिंदगी में मुश्किलें भी जब आए तो आप उसको संभाल बैठे, तो आपको अपने अंदर जो मिसिंग लिंक है उसको डेवलप करना पड़ता है, which is your link with your Almighty. You could be Christian, Jew, Hindu, Muslim. There are 72 types of Muslims, I'm told. So whichever Muslim you are, that's not important. That's just semantic. What's important is the link between you and your creator. If you build that, you automatically become responsible. You automatically become a Superman. You have superpowers. And that is what makes you powerful. And hence I said something 3 minutes ago, do not underestimate the power of one. So once you understand that, it's very hard for the wrong to take over and for the right to be ignored, because you then become the flag bearer of the right. And that is how societies develop. Regarding your other part question pertaining to the pandemic, look, if you go into conspiracy theories, there are many conspiracy theories. I believe in conspiracy theories. I believe in them. But I am fully vaccinated. Some people told me I have the blood of bats and gorillas now in my blood. अभी तक तो मैं उल्टा नहीं लटक सका बैटमैन की तरह, और ना ही मुझे कुछ गोरिल्ला वाली हरकतें मैंने अभी तक की है. अभी तक तो नजर नहीं आया जो मेरे इर्द गिर्द के लोग हैं. लेकिन थेरीज हैं जिसमें पता नहीं क्या क्या कहा जाता है लोगों को उसको डिस्करेज करने के लिए कि आप वैक्सीन मत लगाएं, वैक्सीन मत लगाएं. देखें, एक जमाने में ट्यूबरकुलोसिस हुआ था, उसकी भी वैक्सीन नहीं थी, लगानी पड़ी, क्योंकि there's something called science and you can't ignore it. Either be the scientist yourself and create a vaccine, and if you can't create it, what's your next best option? a pandemic is called a pandemic because it's not about you only. You become a reason for harm to others. तो उस जिम्मेदारी की खातिर आपको ये रिस्क तो लेना है. अब उसका हल क्या है कि जहां आप ये वैक्सीन लगाएं, वहां उससे पहले एक और चीज है, स्टे सेफ, अपना ख्याल रखें, स्टे क्लीन, अपने आप को साफ रखें. सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग का कॉन्सेप्ट है, मास्क पहन लेने से कुछ हो नहीं जाएगा, पहन लीजिए. ये जो हम करते आ रहे हैं, ये जिम्मेदारी है, ये सब कुछ जिम्मेदारी है ना, और है क्या इसकी हम बात करें बड़ी देर. रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी 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 है. तो आई थिंक पैंडेमिक में टेक्नोलॉजी का टेस्ट नहीं हुआ, जिम्मेदारी का टेस्ट हुआ है, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी का टेस्ट हुआ है. Why did Pakistan do well and not the neighbor, the big and powerful neighbor? Why not? Again, there are conspiracy theories there. But in my humble opinion, it's very simple. I feel कि हमारा मुआशरा, अगर उसमें बहुत बुराइयां हैं, उसमें एक बहुत अच्छी अच्छाई भी है. आपको पता है हमारे मुआशरे में गरीब से गरीब तर भी रात को भूखा नहीं सोता. किसी मस्जिद के बाहर जाकर लेटा होगा, वहां खाना मिल जाएगा. किसी चर्च के बाहर जाएगा तो वहां खाना मिल जाएगा. किसी वो क्या होती हैं वो जो मजार टाइप, मजारों पे चले जाओगे तो वहां खाना मिल जाएगा, भूखा नहीं सोएगा. ये एक बड़ी जबरदस्त सोसाइटी का साइन है. इसलिए अभी हिबा ने कहा था थोड़ी देर पहले कि हमें अपनी सोसाइटी में होप होनी चाहिए. वी हैव ऑल द आंसर्स, we have all the solutions right there. All we need to do is to find them and identify them for others. That is responsibility. Pandemic में पाकिस्तानियों ने खैरात भी दी, ज़कात भी दी, डोनेशंस भी हुई, चैरिटी भी हुई, सदके भी दिए, लोगों को खाने भी खिलाए, फ्री क्या नाम है, मास्क भी बांटे, सैनिटाइजर्स बांटे. हम लोगों ने एज ए कम्युनिटी बहुत बेहतर परफॉर्म किया है एज अपोज टू मेनी अदर कंट्रीज, जहां पे सेल्फिशनेस थी, जहां पे गिविंग का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं था. अभी थोड़ी देर पहले उन्होंने कहा था, इफ यू नॉट गिविंग, हाउ डू यू एक्सपेक्ट एंगेजमेंट? What we've done is, alhamdulillah, and touch wood, Pakistan should be proud of how we handled the pandemic. While we thank Allah for His blessings, I think we did a very fine job. And we should definitely, whether you like him or not, thank your Prime Minister. He took very strong steps. I say this with personal experience. I was on those tables. He did not compromise on your and my security and safety. साथ our government did not compromise on economy. हमने स्मार्ट लॉकडाउन्स किए. अभी आप आर्टिकल्स खोल लें, पूरा यूरोप कह रहा है अब तो स्मार्ट लॉकडाउन करने पड़ेंगे. पाकिस्तान ने 10 महीने पहले किए. आपको लगा, मुझे लगा, अरे यार क्यों खोल रहे हो दुकानें? जिम्मेदारी ले रहे थे. आपकी सरकार आपके गरीब की जिम्मेदारी ले रही थी कि खाएगा कहां से. हम जो ड्राइंग रूम्स में बैठ के एसीज ऑन करके बातें कर लेते हैं, हम बहुत प्रिविलेज्ड हैं. लेकिन आपको पता है हम कितनी परसेंट हैं? हम 10% भी नहीं है मुल्क का. उस गरीब को सोचो जिसने हर रोज जाके मजदूरी करके कमाना है. अगर सब कुछ बंद कर देगी गवर्नमेंट तो वो खाएगा कहां से? वो अपने बच्चों को कहां से खिलाएगा? ये है एम्पैथी, ये है एहसास, और इसका सबूत दिया है हमारी गवर्नमेंट ने. यू लाइक देम और नॉट, बट यू कैन नॉट डिसलाइक देम फॉर हाउ दे हैंडल्ड द पेंडेमिक. I think they definitely had the right entrepreneurial mindset to handle this problem.
Exactly.
And they've done a wonderful job. That's all I have to say.
मैम आप क्या कहना चाहेंगी इस पे?
हाँ, तो then to go back to your question कि like a lot of people are wary of the vaccination and such. So iska, well Nabeel साहब ने तो बहुत जबरदस्त emotional and heartwarming answer दिया, but I'll just give it very simple in the sense awareness. It's really all about awareness. And वही बात, the thing is, to get the message across, one must be able to speak the language. So know awareness, knowing where ये नहीं है. So awareness and leading by example. So one could say in mostly in organizations, बहुत सारे CEOs ने, leaders ने, presidents of organization, हमारे LUMS में भी they're leading by example by making it mandatory. आप vaccine कराएं फिर आप वापस यूनिवर्सिटी आ सकते हैं. So I, like Nabeel, have been fully vaccinated, and as the head, I have asked my team, they have to be fully vaccinated before they come back to the office. ठीक है, हम ये थोड़ा सा मैंडेटरी कर सकते हैं, लेकिन फिर सवाल आता है कि those who are not aware of this, or those who don't participate in the Pakistani community, that are part of an organization that their boss or their leader has made it mandatory. तो उनका क्या is debugging all these myths जो जा रही हैं, I think कि अभी वैक्सीन करेंगे 2 साल के बाद कोई मर जाएगा, ये सब कुछ. और where are these myths coming from? Like WhatsApp forwarded messages, social media, and a common person like you and I who would be like, we will ask for evidence, like कि ये कौन सी resource है, or which article does this say, and where are you getting this resource from? But a lot of people don't have that, or that awareness or ability to think that way. So maybe changing the mindset, and that is one, done by awareness, and two, by leading by example, and providing those maybe like a campaign on TV, radio, informational campaign. What is the vaccine made out of? If I'm gonna get a vaccine, I do want to know what is in it. जब मैं गई थी, I got the Russian one, so I couldn't understand on the label what it said because it was written in Russian. But I did take a picture of it for myself for later. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा होगा, I'm going to go and do the research and see what is inside what that's going inside my body. So that's my right, and that is part of being a critical global citizen, and that's part of questioning. We have the right to question. We have the right to question our government. We have the right to question what's going inside my body, and then practice those rights. And then make your informed decision. That's what is the main thing. Then make the informed decision, but we need to provide our citizens the tool to make that informed decision.
Okay. Acha, so Sir Nabeel, the next question is a sole entrepreneurship question. So, question is, can you suggest some ways of getting our initiative or someone else's initiative promoted or maximize it? कि किस तरीके से उसकी reach को maximize कर सकते हैं? And do you think promotions and maximizing the reach is a core part of entrepreneurship किसी भी plan के अंदर?
Okay. Well, देखिए, what I'd say is that maximizing the reach or promotion को आप in the language of business कहते हैं marketing, advertisement, publicity. देखें, मेरा मानना ये है कि when you're solving a real problem, how do you find a real problem? When there's a real need. So if you've identified a real need, and what's the real need? It has to be based on something that is backed by some strong value system and empathy. Empathy बताती है कि किसी को ज़रूरत है किसी चीज़ की कि नहीं. The biggest question in entrepreneurship that I always tell my students and people I work with is the big question that I ask is, why are you doing what you're doing? आप ये क्यों कर रहे हैं? और उसमें सबसे important जवाब जो मुझे चाहिए होता है वो चाहिए होता है कि जो आप बनाएंगे, चाहे वो product है या service है, जो भी कर रहे हैं आप पानी बेचते हैं, आप जूता बेचते हैं, आप शरबत बेचते हैं, आप जो मर्जी बनाने लगे, आप ऐप बना के बेचते हैं, आप जिसके लिए वो बना रहे हैं, क्या उसको इसकी जरूरत है? नंबर 1. दूसरी बात, क्या वो आपको इसके लिए पैसे देगा? अगर आपको ये 2 चीजें क्लियर हैं, तो आपका बिजनेस मॉडल ठीक है। और अगर आपका बिजनेस मॉडल ठीक है तो मेरा यकीन कीजिए कि आपको प्रमोशन और मार्केटिंग पे उस तरह इन्वेस्ट नहीं करना पड़ेगा जिस तरह एक ऐसे इनिशिएटिव को करना पड़ेगा जो कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ फ्लफ है, जो सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक टेम्पररी फ्लिंग है। ये आइडेंटिफाई करना बड़ा जरूरी है। एक तो अब कोविड का जमाना में ये भी नहीं कह सकता कि विटामिन्स आर नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट, बट इन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप वी यूज्ड टू से भाई पैनाडोल बना रहे हो या मल्टीविटामिन बना रहे हो, क्योंकि पैनाडोल के बगैर गुजारा नहीं हो सकता, सर दर्द मार छोड़ती है। लेकिन अगर विटामिन नहीं भी खाओगे तो कोई बात नहीं। अब कोविड इज चेंज दैट, बट दिस इज व्हाट वी यूज्ड टू से इन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप 1 ईयर अगो। तो मैं आज भी इस बात पे हूँ कि जो प्रॉब्लम आप सॉल्व कर रहे हैं वो कितनी रियल है। अगर वो बहुत रियल है तो फिर तो आपको मार्केटिंग पे पुश नहीं करना पड़ेगा उस हिसाब से। लेकिन आप ये कहें कि आप एक प्रोडक्ट मार्केट में लाएंगे और आप उसकी मार्केटिंग नहीं करेंगे या वो जरूरी नहीं है, ये बहुत गलत बात है। आई थिंक मार्केटिंग करनी बहुत अच्छी बात है, लेकिन जल्दी नहीं। ट्राइड एंड टेस्टेड प्रोडक्ट पे मार्केट करना चाहिए और ताकि लोगों का आप पे फेथ बने। लोगों का आपके प्रोडक्ट में फेथ आएगा, बिलीफ सिस्टम डेवलप होगा, वो आपके प्रोडक्ट के रिटर्निंग कस्टमर्स बनेंगे। वो बिगेस्ट वैलिडेशन फॉर एनी कंपनी इज रिटर्निंग कस्टमर। अगर वापस आ रहा है तो मीन्स वो आपका कस्टमर है, he or she believes in what you are selling or what you're standing for. So what I always say is कि आप मार्केट जरूर करें, लेकिन एक सर्टेन टाइम के बाद पहले आप अपने प्रोडक्ट को इतना कंटेंट सेवी कर लें, इतना उसको एफिशिएंट कर लें कि जब आप उसके बारे में बात करें और जब वो बात फैले और जब ज़्यादा लोग ट्राई करें उसको तो डिसअपॉइंटमेंट ना हो। मार्केटिंग करते कैसे हैं वो पूरा अलग चैप्टर है, तो मैं उस पर जाना नहीं चाहता अभी, वो दैट्स अनदर डिस्कशन एंटायरली। बट yes, it is very important to market. It is very important to market, but your marketing also, I may request please, marketing also should not be desperate marketing. It should not be what we say in entrepreneurship. It shouldn't be a dollhouse syndrome. कि आप ऐसी चीज बना दें इसको लोग मुड़ के देखें तो सही, लेकिन अंदर कुछ ना हो। What is important is कि आपकी मार्केटिंग के पीछे भी आपकी वैल्यूज, आपकी बिलीफ सिस्टम नजर आनी चाहिए। That is beautiful marketing. That is the real kind of push promotion that you must do. It should reflect your personality, the personality of the founders. If you're talking about entrepreneurship, that's my 2 cents.
तो यहाँ पे एक और क्वेश्चन भी आता है कि मार्केटिंग के अंदर उसके बाद जो ट्रायल बेस्ड चीज़ें होती हैं, ट्रायल सेशंस होते हैं, कुछ लोग उसको करने से डरते हैं कि लाइक हमारी फेलियर इससे हो जाएगी या कुछ इस तरह की चीज़ें होती है, तो उसको आप किस तरह एलाबोरेट करना चाहें?
I guess we've lost connection, so maybe I'm not sure.
Yes, I guess his video is lagging. Meanwhile, you can ask question from Hiba.
Yeah, so Hiba, I was going to ask final question from both of you about civic engagement and entrepreneurship, obviously, but for the civic engagement part, a personal experience or a pro tip that you could suggest to us, that would motivate the younger generation towards this task. A pro tip or a personal experience that could motivate us, the younger generation.
Excellent. Yes. So one of the reasons the civic engagement education itself is so close to my heart is because of my background in education in the area of the experiential learning. And the other thing is when I started working or heading the co-curriculars department, I would notice like around this time, lots of students asking for recommendation form for Fulbright scholarship, for an Rhode Island scholarship, for certain various scholarships. And you'll notice that every scholarship would have a question like, what have you done in your co-curriculars, or how have you contributed to the community, or to tell a story. And then that point, it actually took back to my education experience. So I was the top 20 all USA scholar. So that meant all my higher education undergrad was fully funded and paid by US full scholarship. and hence my undergrad as University of Arizona was fully funded. University of Wisconsin was fully funded, and it was very empowering when you are fully you have that ability. Um, and the reason why, though, is because I was also involved in my student council, student societies, and doing a lot of. I started this new program called Living Learning, which was like teaching through experiences and such. And all that experience, when I translated on the application, it resulted into a full scholarship, or it resulted to the recognition. But it wasn't the end result of the recognition. It was the skills I gained, the leadership skills, the ability to I have became new friends, being part of a community, that ownership that you belong and you're contributing, all those feel good as well as the skills, and then keeping my GPA up because you get that support from your fellow colleagues and students too. And it makes a holistic individual, it makes a holistic student, and that is what employers are looking for. So at the time of your graduation, when you're graduating and planning to go to grad school or to start working, these are the skills that they're going to look at. So that gave me the idea is, why can we not make a structure around the whole concept of civic engagement, and the office has a leadership transcript which you can fill out and put your hours, community service hours on it, and produce it. The number of universities, and some in Pakistan now too. Beria University is an example, that they don't let you graduate until you have fulfilled a number of hours of giving back into the community, of doing community service, service learning projects, civic engagement, or some aspect. And then what I've noticed with my students is that there are actually a couple of students who took a class because they felt they had to take it, just because maybe it was a requirement, but then they kept coming back or they started doing independent study. It just becomes quite addicting. So again, the hidden agenda is that made me also think that if one is becoming addicted to actually doing good for the community, that's a good type of addiction, rather than the other type of addiction that usually college or university students go towards, maybe drugs, illegal things, or running in the wrong crowd, doing things. And so why not impact the society, impact the individual with a good jununi, good in addiction. And hence I see the future of this field also creating jobs, because jobs now, and I'm sure Nabeel can speak very highly of this, coming from an entrepreneur background, jobs in today's world are not the same type of jobs in those in maybe our generation, or our parents' generation. Jobs have shifted. It's not even about position. It's maybe about skills. It's not, and it may be about a personal personality, the way one interacts. Networking skills is highly needed, and knowing how and who to talk to, when to be flexible. These things that become part of your personality are transferring into highly demanded job skills. So jobs, being successful in your graduate PhD studies, these are some things. So and that's where the idea of implementing in a structural curriculum development program came up. I don't know if I answered
So
the question, and we bring the viewers back.
yes, ma'am. It was a really nice answer to our question. So I would like to ask the same question from Mr. Nabeel. Sir, the question is कि ऐसी कौन सी tip है या like आपका personal experiences that could motivate the younger generation towards civic engagement and entrepreneurship?
If you could possibly answer the entrepreneurship wala part, because civic engagement wala
Exactly.
part is already been answered by ma'am about the entrepreneurship wala part, how a personal experience that could motivate the younger generation.
Okay, it's actually interlinked. I'm not going to say everyone hearing us here today or will hear this video or see this video is going to be an entrepreneur, but you can be responsible citizens, right? That's number one responsibility. then you can be responsible family members, then you can be responsible friends, then you can be responsible colleagues, then you can be responsible founders. सब कुछ responsibility पे based है, तो वो तो है. देखिए entrepreneurial mindset की बात कर सकता हूँ मैं, entrepreneurship की मैं बात नहीं करूँगा because वो बड़े कम लोग कामयाब होते हैं उसमें. A lot of entrepreneurship is about handling failure. So is life. It's how well you handle failure, because failure bogs you down, it demotivates you, it makes your world pretty gloomy, it makes you doubt yourself, and coming back from it is hard. It's very hard. So a mindset that's entrepreneurial is a fighting mindset. It gives you the ability to not look at the glass half empty. It always makes you look at the glass half full. क्या सीखा मैंने? फेलियर से मैंने क्या सीखा? जब आप गिरते हो, जब आप नाकाम होते हो, मेरी जिंदगी में चंद कामयाबी हैं. मैं आपको सही बताऊं, I have made money. People think I have some name. People think I've tried out a lot of things. They worked. Let me tell you, अगर मैं नाकामियां बताऊं तो आप तो मुझे आइंदा बुलाए ना यहाँ पे, बल्कि मेरा नाम भी लेंगे आप. You are a certified failure because मेरी नाकामियां 50-60 हैं, कामयाबियां 4-5 हैं. So ये तो part of life है. We win some, we lose some. It's a mindset. I think the most important thing and the advice that I would like to give you is to try and find the best version of yourself. Try and find what are those things in you that you can really play on, that you can really bank on. कहते हैं ना, that you can bat on. अगर क्रिकेट की ज़बान में बोलें, you bat on them. ये दो qualities हैं. If I kind of transfer these two qualities into maximum people, जिसका इन्होंने जिक्र किया था, that's called devolved leadership, कि जहाँ पर आप अपने नीचे लोगों को लीडर्स बनाते हैं, और वो आप ऐसे ही करते हैं कि अपनी टीम्स के अंदर लोगों को डिवॉल्व लीडरशिप देते हैं. ये एक तरीका है. यू इंस्पायर पीपल बाय लीडिंग बाय एग्जांपल. बातों से कुछ नहीं होगा. यू वॉक द टॉक. दैट्स व्हाट्स इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड इफ यू कैन वॉक द टॉक, पीपल विल ऑटोमेटिकली स्टार्ट feeling inspired by you. They'll be motivated by you. They'd want to work with you. They'd want to interact with you and learn with you and exchange ideas with you. And that's a meaningful individual. A life of meaning is a life that added positively to the society around him or her. That's it. That's a life of meaning. पैसा आप अपने लिए कमाते हैं, लेकिन अगर आप वो किसी और पे लगाते हैं, that's a life of meaning. नाम आपको शोहरत मिल गई है, आपको मिली है. अब आप उसको हैंडल कैसे करते हैं? उस शोहरत के साथ आप क्या बेचते हैं? आप कितने लोगों की मदद करते हैं? आप कितने लोगों को इनेबल करते हैं उस शोहरत से? ये आपकी लाइफ ऑफ मीनिंग है. सक्सेस is not what you gain for yourself. Success is what you create for others. And that's all I have to say. And I have to rush now. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Sorry,
Thank you.
We took extra time of yours.
Thank you, Hiba. Take care of yourself. Thank you, everyone.
So this marks the end of our session. Thank you, Ma'am Hiba and Sir Nabeel, for this very informative and valuable session. I hope the viewers had a lot to learn from this session. And once again, thank you for this valuable session.
Thank you for having us. And in fact, Nabeel and I have had many several conversations on the side even before coming on. I was telling the organizers of the event that we're actually in connection. So
thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, and take care of yourselves.
Allah. Take care. Allah.
Allah Hafiz.